Welcome back to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. My name is Jibbz, George, Obi, Stephen, whatever you want to call me. And and today we shall be talking about a wizard, or someone, at least someone who looks like a wizard. Today we're talking about one of the best shows on TV right now, HBO's own Barry. And of course, I'm joined by my good friend Jerry. How's it going, Jerry?
I'm good, better. Yeah, nice to be back again. I didn't know your
Great,
name was Steven,
great to have you back. Listen, we learn new things each week on the
right?
Popcorn for Dinner podcast.
I mean, Barry has a clock name, so Steven.
And we are also being hijacked by the Hefe, the chief, the big man, El Boss Man. Banky Bankole. What the hell are you doing on my podcast, man?
So I just left the tattoo parlor, and I can't wait to show you guys the story of my journey once this episode is over. It's
Oh, brother.
underneath is I just come on the podcast and show you guys.
Just
I'm
have a lot
dead.
of thoughts, don't you? Yeah, obviously, as mentioned before, we're definitely talking about Barry, season 4, episode 6, titled The Wizard, which was directed by Bill Hader, of course, because he's, control freak, and written by three people: Bill Hader, Alec Berg, and Duffy Boudreau. Apologies for the pronunciation. And obviously created by Alec Berg and Bill Hader as well. Yeah, we'll get into the episode, but before we delve in, just wanted to remind you guys to please, s'il vous plaît. Is that please in French? That is please in French, yeah. I am learning French actually. To please subscribe, to rate, review us in all your platforms that you listen to us. YouTube, you can see our faces, you can see our trims. You don't want to see this trim, but you can see our trims, see our hats. Spotify, give us a nice review, rate us. It really does help with, feedback is just always helpful to us, and we'd really appreciate it. Just kind of also want to thank you guys for listening. Kind of spazzed. I don't know what I did. Don't know what happened. That kind of glitched. But for listening to us, we really appreciate it. You guys are everything to us. More than everything. Is there anything? Is that possible? More than everything. But if that is possible, that's what you guys are. And yeah, we do obviously appreciate you guys tuning in every week to listen to our amazing takes. And also, obviously, if you've got like any suggestions, or if you want to be a lucky one on the Popcorn for Dinner podcast, slide into our DMs, slide to Popcorn for Dinner podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything. Those DMs, slide into my DMs as well. Um, slide to Bankley's DMs.
Mhm.
Anyone's DMs where
Oh, please, I'm shy.
we all need an extra. You need an extra friend, don't we? But
No.
before I sort of go off the tangent there, let's delve into the episode.
Yeah.
So, guys, The Wizard, Barry, episode 6, season 4. One episode, man. What you guys, just initial thoughts, Jerry? Let's get to you first.
Why me? Okay. I think I'm glad that we were discussing last week about how we're really seeing Barry and Sally, or Clark and Emily, in this 8 year time jump. And it's only at the end that we get introduced to the rest of the world. And I think what that's doing for me now is kind of helping me settle myself into the idea that this is a time jump that has actually happened. So this is a real thing we're watching.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just seeing where some of these other characters, I mean, Barry would have to be very, 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 very vividly thinking of a possible future to even think of what would happen to, Hank, and what would happen to Fuchs, and with such detail that it's consistent with things he wouldn't know, like what happened to Fuchs in prison.
Mm-hmm.
So we can accept that. And that was the first thing for this episode. It was like kind of interesting to see what the characters have been up to, sort of. Which characters still have the same motivations, which characters maybe have changed, or we'll find out they haven't really.
Mm-hmm.
Which characters are still, facing the same battles and demons or whatever. Like, yeah.
And I mean, before we go to you, hold on. I can already see that city smirk on your face. I think I need to throw out a good apology because I think I know that's what I actually forgot to mention in the at the top of the show. That's kind of why I'm here, because you said that this is a time jump, and because I thought it was just visions and flat,
By
flash
the way, I
forward
said
and
it after
everything.
episode 4, not even episode 5. Like
He said
that
it
last 2 minutes.
all the way back, and I was like, nah, 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 no
I'm
way.
dead.
So, you know, I guess you're here for your victory lap, and I mean, you
It's
have
my
the
victory
floor.
lap.
You
Like,
have the
who
floor.
else is going to pat me on the back if I didn't do it myself? I mean, I thought, honestly, I thought it was obvious after we watched episode
Oh
4.
my god.
And then, no, but then you basically convinced me that it wasn't. So I was like, oh, okay. And obviously, we're obviously ahead of like watching it ahead of people. And then episode 4 came out and people were a bit split. And episode 5 happened. And I was like, okay, this is obviously time jump. But you guys were still debating it. So I was like,
I,
what's
I,
going on
I
here?
think for me it's just because like at the end of episode 4, I just didn't think of anything. Like I just didn't say, oh, what's going on here. I just instantly went with, okay, in episode 1 we saw visions, so it makes
Yeah.
sense that this is happening too. But I was like, there's something different about this. I hope. I just left it. I didn't realize because I haven't really been paying attention to people's debates about the show this season so much.
Mhm.
So I just kind of missed out on that whole thing until I watched episode 5, and then I'm like, wait, this is actually happening.
Mm.
I don't like this, but I think I'm okay with it now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Bankole, have you just sort of settled into the fact that we just time jumped 8 years?
Yeah, I mean, we time jumped 8 years. I mean, I don't know, like, it's one of these things where confidence, right? We've talked about it before with writers. I'm just like, okay, you guys want to time jump, we'll time jump, and I'll see what you guys want to do. If after 2 episodes is bad, and I'm like, oh, it's bad, but like, I trust you guys so much. I'm like, if this is what you want to do, then we'll do it. I mean, we've seen shows, obviously not. I can't think of a show that we watched and loved that did this kind of 8 year time jump.
True
I mean,
Detective season 1 did that.
true, but that was always kind of like both timelines, wasn't it?
True, true, true,
Yeah,
true,
if
true.
I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. But like,
you're
I
correct. You're
guess
correct.
Saul did it.
Hmm.
But we always knew that Saul was moving towards that time jump.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad kind of did it as well. But like, so like, I don't know. I was like, okay, 8 years. You have a story you want to tell.
I mean, House of
Like,
the
okay, let's
Dragon
do it.
did it.
Yeah, but that one they were time jumping from. But also that's true. That's true. I guess. But they were time jumping from
What is
time.
it
But
about
yeah,
HBO shows? Because when you think apparently Euphoria is going to do it as well in their new season when they come out. Like I don't know how true that is, but apparently that's a thing.
they're gonna time jump to a point where Euphoria doesn't exist. Oh, that's no.
Listen, I didn't
I
want to
was
say
not
anything.
involved.
I didn't want to say
I
anything,
was
but
not
I
involved.
don't even know why I said that. Like,
Bankole, you spend too much time around me. That's the sort of thing I'd say, not you. So
Right.
I've become very like, I don't know, recently on podcasts. I don't know why. I don't know why I said that.
you need to calm down, take a chill pill.
Listen, it's good. Your nature is coming out. Don't
It
be
is
too
coming
aware of the
out.
camera, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying
So
to. I'm
should
becoming a
we
podcast guy.
should we start? Let's start with Barry then.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is becoming extremely anxious about the fact that this movie about him is coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and Gene is back, and he has to finish and end, the solution, to Gene basically, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty ironic because at the start of the episode, you can see when he's teaching Sally how to assemble the gun, in quick time and everything, right? And she's talking about how, and he's talking about how the movie's going to bring unwanted attention
Mm-hmm.
and bad publicity to them and everything, right? And he's like, he needs to fix the solution. He needs to fix the problem by
Mm-hmm.
killing Gene. And I'm like, isn't this going to bring you more
I mean, Sally
attention?
says that as well, doesn't she? Yeah,
She
they're
says
like,
that, and it's like kind of one of the few times I agree with Sally in this episode.
I
We'll
think
get to
we.
Sally, don't worry, we'll get to her. So, I mean, what do you guys think about his plan?
I think it's same old Barry in the sense that yeah, you touched on the idea that he's kind of anxious about the decision, which is true.
Hmm.
Barry is someone that has, from seasons 1, 2, and 3, kept on telling us that he wants to be better, and we meet him in this time jump and we see him struggling with some sort of forced religion, or maybe he genuinely actually is turning to Christianity for help or whatever,
Yeah.
or a version of it, and he's like, oh, sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? And that's working for him, but he still doesn't know how to be a good person. He's still thinking, yeah, I'm going to kill Gene, so that, probably thinking if I kill Gene then he won't be able to tell them the truth, which he calls not the truth, because like he's going to tell his own perspective, and that's just not the truth because that's not his
Hmm.
perspective. So if he kills Gene, then maybe they'll just make a fictional movie, or maybe they'll be too scared to make the movie or something. In his head that will work, but obviously, like, in the grand scheme of things, you can easily see that that's a bad move that affects everybody else in the world negatively because Barry ultimately is a bad person.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Barry, to be fair to Barry, like the story he expects Gene to tell is not the truth. It's the story that Gene tells the reporter when
True.
he's like, I don't want any more attention under a spotlight. And he doesn't give it. So like that, we know that that story is not true. But it's actually
Well,
quite
it might be a lot of spice added into. I don't.
it's a lot of spice. It's
Mm,
like
mm.
what does Gene say he said to Barry? I got you, motherfucker, or something. It's
Yeah.
like I love you. Like it's a like yeah, some of the basic kernels of truth are there, but like it's so much spice. No, but it's actually quite ironic because if Barry knew that Gene was trying to kill the movie, he wouldn't be going through all these things. But I think Sally calls it when she says, "I think you just want to kill him because he turned you in."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And
I think that's just yeah, that's the truth.
and
That's
that's
the
the crux of it.
underlying
Yeah.
factor.
And he's
Yeah.
just sort of telling himself and deceiving himself that he's doing it to protect his family. I mean, that sounds
Oh
familiar,
yeah.
doesn't
And
it?
when you say that, telling
they
himself
all
is
they
like,
all do it to protect their family, all of them,
I
every
feel that's
single
like
one.
that's a kind of common theme of HU, isn't it? Do this all
Well,
for my family.
anti-heroes, they want to believe that they're
Good old
doing it for their
greater
anti-heroes, man.
good or
family.
something.
Yeah,
Gosh, you got to love them.
from what?
Uh,
But I do think he's found God. I think he's found religion. Do I think he's a good Christian? No, but I
no
think he
way.
believes he's found. Like he believes that.
He's trying that
He's
thing where he's found it, but he's trying to find it to work in his own. Because this was where I
yeah.
picked up that it's you said it at the beginning of the season, Banky, that the show is almost not a comedy anymore. But for me, there's still comedic moments there, like the
Oh no,
whole
I mean the show is very
yeah,
funny.
the
Yeah,
whole
don't get me wrong, the show is very
yeah,
funny.
that whole cycle of
What does
him
he
just trying
say?
to find a pastor that will give him validation, and then he finally he's like, "Yep, that
Oh,
works." That's the sign.
oh, I mean, like he thinks he's found the right one, and then he's like, "Oh, wait, no, oh shit." I mean, did you guys catch who the third pastor was that gave him validation? Did you catch the voice cameo?
No. Like I didn't recognize the person, so you can just tell
No,
us
who was it?
Bill Burr.
who's that.
Was it Bill Burr?
I heard that and I was like, that's Bill Burr's voice. You
How on
cannot
earth
like,
didn't I recognize that
yeah,
accent?
that's Bill Burr's voice. I was like, yeah, and that's that's the pastor that he went to, who spent 10 years in jail for a hockey. Oh my god.
Oh god.
No, but I do think I think it's like he was looking. We can assume in the last 8 years he was looking for absolution. He was looking for somebody to forgive him of his sins,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
he found quote unquote religion. I mean, it happens a lot, doesn't it? There's a reason the quote unquote the stereotype is they go in and they come out as Muslim, like they found the Nation of Islam or whatever. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
find religion to absolve you of your sins. So I do think he doesn't want to do things that how do I put it? He doesn't want to do things that like are outrightly against
Yeah.
God and Christianity, but at the same time he is who he is. He's a terrible person. Like he's
yeah.
not
He's about to kill, or he's planning to kill somebody,
yeah,
and
like
kind of also
yeah.
needs to add in the fact that he's very, I mean, too overprotective of his kid.
I
So
try not to read too much personally into that one, but yeah.
why do you think that is? I just thought that was because he doesn't want to blow their cover.
Partly that, but I see it as again a parent trying to protect their child from their own traumas, like and then going too far in the other direction. Like we see that cycle
Mm.
play out over and over in the real world. I just feel like maybe that's, or maybe I'm just reading too much from what I've seen in the real world. I don't know.
Yeah,
Mm,
I mean, Barry wants to be.
let's-
Barry definitely wants to be a good dad.
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like,
Whatever that means, we
I
don't know.
mean,
But he wants to be a good dad.
Separately, I've also just
talk about the
noticed your
last
name on
episode.
this packy.
Talk about the
Oh,
last episode when he's showing him like the
this
baseball clips to discourage
that
his
was
kid
so funny.
from
That
playing
was
baseball,
so
which was
funny.
just extremely,
That was so
just
funny.
very very strange. But
Died from I mean, Bill Hader said something about. I heard him talk about how Barry's kind of destroying everything as American for his son. Like first is Abraham Lincoln, and then his baseball. It's
I'm
just kind of
dead.
like
I didn't even clock that.
destroying these things. But anyway, yeah, I mean,
wait a
we were talking
moment,
about
guy.
Barry. Let me not derail you too much from our previous episodes.
Oh man, I mean, talking about Barry teaching Sally how to put the gun together. What an episode she had, man. What an episode Sally
I
had.
mean, giving her son alcohol, incredible parenting right
I
there.
was kind of like, what the hell is going on here? Like, she giving her kid out. What was that, vodka as well?
It was
I mean,
vodka.
Okay, that answers a
That's
huge question for me now because I was really thinking, why the fuck is this boy not waking up?
Oh yeah, that boy was knocked
He
out. That
was
boy is
gone,
eat. And do you see how much vodka she put in?
yeah.
That's pre-drinks for like that boy
bro.
was god.
I was like Bankole at that night. I'm not.
It is what it is.
It is
He
what it
was
is, man.
gone.
Ironically, it was a white girl that gave me the drink as well. Anyways,
Jeez,
Jesus
sure.
Christ.
let's before we finish, should we like before we go to Sally? I think you want to go to Sally, Obia. Do you want? Let's finish with Barry,
Hmm.
like Barry himself, because
I'm
obviously the
about
way
to
the
talk about
episode
how
ends.
easy it was for him to buy a gun.
I mean, the funny thing is that like that was not like obviously it's very easy, but like that's a joke that can work.
And
That's been
any
working for
show,
how many
yeah.
years?
There were a lot of jokes or kind of just satirical bits in this episode that I really caught. I mean, we'll get to Gene, and I think he was trying to satire Hollywood and
Yeah, I mean,
stuff
yeah.
like that. But
I think that
yeah, that was
scene.
pretty.
Sorry to cut in like that, but I think that scene as well because usually when a show gives you that idea of the steps that people take that aren't really steps, it's like this one's kind of new for me because then they're like showing you the violence that comes from guns and it's just like it's gunshot wounds and it's like
I think
someone
okay,
that's been
so
at war is not.
yeah, so I think that is like them imagining what happens in the next 8 years. Because obviously now with
Mm,
smoking, you have like those images of lungs on the
yeah,
packet. I don't think they show those pictures now, but I think they're like, oh, this is what people the NRA would think is like a good solution or
compromise.
whatever, a good
Well, that
deterrent
might be
in
like a
8 years time.
concession that they might
Yeah,
make with the
I think
government to put.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I think what was funny for me was that scene starts with obviously Barry, and behind him you see all these like toys and teddy bears. So I thought he was buying a gift for his
oh
son,
no.
and then the camera just cuts and he's like buying. So like it's almost like you know those memes are like Barbie and Oppenheimer. It's like teddy bears on one side and just guns on the other. Like
guns
what's
and
I'm not
going
sure. I
on?
feel like Barry
Uh,
has done. I'm not sure if it was Barry actually, but I feel like the show did that, and plenty of them do. Like how easy it is to buy a gun. You just go to
Barry did it. You're right. Barry did it last
any
season.
random store, and
He
yeah,
did it last season when
it was Barry.
Annabeth Gish and her son went to buy a
Hmm.
gun, and they're like just sign here or something. They did it last season. Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could talk about the end because I don't think. Yeah, let's talk about the
Should
end.
we?
Why not?
Let's save it for the end.
Should you say for the end?
I
What do you
mean,
guys
Well, I mean,
think?
it's still on
yeah,
Barry, so it depends on what
we
you want to
can.
do.
We
It's still
It's
on
still
can.
on the
Barry. Yeah,
character
actually, let's
Barry.
say that. Let's say that for the end. I guess we can go to Sally. I mean, one episode she had, man, because I guess towards the end of the episode as well. I mean, because I was thinking as well, maybe she's a bit drunk and she's sort of visualizing shit and like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And you see like this man in a gimp suit who is basically you know, following her from behind. And she slams the door, but something goes in his eye. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Then the guy runs out the back. And
So here's my reading on that. Sorry to interject, but I only
right.
caught it on my second watch, which was like 15 minutes ago. All the things she's hearing, I don't think they're real.
Mm-hmm.
Because he starts saying, "What did you put in my eye, you fucking bitch? Is that metal?" And that's what the Taylor guy from last season finale was saying when she was killing him. Remember when she
Mm.
stabs him in the eye,
Oh.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then so I think
Oh.
she's obviously, and we remember like she saw Taylor in episode 3 when she's rude
Mm.
to now a franchise movie star. Um, so I think that obviously triggers her fear because there's another guy that's she's afraid of trying to kill her, and then she starts remembering all the things that the guy was saying. Like, what did you? Because I was like, that's so weird. Who is he talking to? There's no woman in there.
Yeah.
Like on first one, I was like really confused. Like, is he trying to stage it to seem? But like nobody's there. But so I think some parts might be
Yeah.
real because there's some. Actually, I don't even know because there's some parts where he was like, the kid is not waking up. The kid is dead. So I don't know. I don't know if that was like Sally's own fear about maybe she's killed her son by
Yeah, because when she fired that round, I thought it hit her son.
but nothing came out, right? Nothing like I don't
Yeah,
think
no,
anything.
there
I don't
was
think
the
she
whole.
put.
They made sure to let you know that when she went into the bed, the bullet rolled out. So when she assembled the gun, there was no bullet.
Yeah, there was no bullets. Yeah,
So
so
was this kind of just like a blank or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. No, I don't. I just think nothing.
as in
Not
like
blank. Just
yeah.
nothing came out. Like the cartridges were empty.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had
So
like
I
a
think yeah. So I
how.
think all of that was in her head. So like the guy must have been. I don't know what the plan is. I'm assuming that's the guy from the show was
Yeah,
working
that's
with
what I thought as
that she
well.
strangled.
Yeah, I reckon
But I
that's
don't know what the
him.
plan was. Is it to scare her? Maybe it's to scare her. I don't
I
know.
think
And he tries to like tip over the caravan as well, didn't he?
But that's a house. That's not a caravan.
flimsy houses in the desert. I don't know. I have no idea.
A
Because I
house,
was
a
thinking about, I was
van.
like, what are they using to
This
build
is where it
this?
I
feels
mean, that
like the
house is
show
made
is.
of that house is made of like timber and prayers, man. That thing was.
Fair
But
enough.
this is
Yeah,
where it
it's
feels
like the current Barbie dog
exactly
house.
like in that house was pretty much hollow. Like that house used to break every episode.
Hmm.
But no, this is where I think it's
Right.
interesting you pick up on the Taylor guy from season three, because yeah, one
Hmm.
thing that I was obviously we can talk about Bill Hader's unique style of directing and his use of sound. One thing I was picking up on again was how in that exact scene, they're giving us the whole action is outside and we're only using sound as well. So yeah, there's probably a link there with oh well, there's obviously a link there since it's the same audio. Like what did you put in my eye? But it's
Yeah.
just I
Mhm.
remember watching that and thinking, wait, I'm so confused. Like we only saw one guy. Is it that there's two guys now? Is there someone else in the car? Is it that we only
Hmm.
saw the one person because that's the one person that was in, that she should have noticed? Because like for all intents and purposes, it's like they kept
Mhm.
convincing you that she was about to notice and she just wasn't.
Yeah, but she was so drunk. Like I was like, I'm not even into. I understand. Like she's so drunk. You know when like you've gone to bed like 30 minutes before, so like the drug is like you're just staggering to the top. You're like, yeah, you can't notice anything within a 5 meter reach. I was like, fair enough. I get it, Sally. I get it.
Sally's lit, man.
I
Sally's
don't get
lit.
it.
Yeah, well, opposite of lit. Her drinking is not
Mm,
fun. So
Just absolute
that
downing.
apathy was a lot.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's freaking out. So she calls Barry, and this is the first time her son actually, because the son already had kind of suspicions that these weren't. Second time, sorry, the son already had suspicions that these weren't their real names, but I think now it's just kind of just
Mm.
confirmed it for him, hasn't it?
does your mom wear hair on top her real
Who's
hair?
Barry? Yeah.
I mean, I,
Oh, this boy's therapy is gonna be so
Bruh.
expensive, man. He's gonna go through it.
she needed to do something. I'm not a wig. I'm not a wig connoisseur, right? But Sally
Mhm.
needed to do a bit better with the wigs because that was just so obvious.
When you think about it, is dyeing your hair not like if you're long term going away, isn't dyeing your hair more sustainable than wearing a wig?
I think it's just a bit of a faff, isn't it? Just dyeing it
First,
Yeah,
first.
true. Yeah, her
every
natural color to keep coming back.
yeah,
Okay, look
just
at
keep on
you.
coming out and stuff.
The
Wig
hair
connoisseur, I
knowledge.
guess.
Who are you learning hair stuff for?
Listen, I can't disclose on the
Fair enough.
podcast,
That's fair
but
enough. That's fair
what
enough.
what what is
Interesting.
that? Gene, Gene is back. Well, he was back last episode, but I mean, he looks like a proper wizard, and obviously this is kind of where the episode title has come from.
Hmm.
And I know we're talking about, we're led to the studios and they're kind of talking to him about the movie, and they're pitching him. They're not really pitching, just more of telling him exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like whether he likes it or not, that's kind of like what the direction they're going with. So the premise of the film is it's kind of like a semi autobiographical kind of biographical portrayal of Gene and Barry 8 years
Hmm.
ago, and it's supposed to be a cat and mouse thriller. And I was like, but isn't this kind of what happened? I mean, they're not necessarily wrong.
Yeah, but like, first of all, can I just say that if this wasn't a true life story, quote unquote, this would have
Hmm.
been a perfect Fincher film. Can you
Yeah,
imagine like a cat and mouse thriller with an assassin and his teacher catches him basically Gone
do
Girl
you
and
think,
Girl
do
with
you
the
reckon
Dragon
Fincher wants
Tattoo.
when you watch that? If you actually watch it, do you reckon it was like, "Fuck, I can't believe it."
It's like,
Like you're taking
um,
that now.
but like, I mean, here's the thing: on the face of it, yes, but like the Gene did not. Gene was not a hero. Like, yes, Gene, but he wasn't the hero. I don't have to put it like he can't paint himself as the hero in this situation because also let's not forget the fact that they've completely whitewashed the story. They removed the only black man from the story, so this
Yeah,
movie version has no black man. Like, what's his name? What's
Jim.
Moss's first name?
Jim.
Is it, it's not Jim.
Jim. I think it's
It's
Yes,
Jim. Is
Jim.
it
Jim.
Jim
Yeah,
Moss?
yeah,
Jim Moss. Yeah, like he's not in the story anymore. Now all of a sudden it's just Jim that did everything. Um, I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like the basic building blocks are there. an acting student is a what do they call it? Is a criminal, is a serial
Mm-hmm.
killer.
It's not
He
who he
kills
says he
his
is.
he kills his teacher's girlfriend, and then his teacher helps him get captured years later.
I'd watch
All
that.
that is true, but like everything else is not true, and that's what it like.
And Jerry, do you reckon that was a kind of critique on just the Hollywood studio system?
Uh,
Because he's saying that, and obviously we all know that like he was the one that sort of added spice to the story initially, but
Mm,
he's come back and saying that he wants everything to change and this has actually not really happened, etc, and they're like, no, we're gonna keep going, we're gonna go ahead with what you gave us early on because it's kind of the story that sells.
yeah,
When you watch that initially, do you think, I mean, Bill Hader is definitely saying something about Hollywood and the dichotomy between its studio producers and its writers? And funny you mention that because there's a writer's strike right now, isn't
yeah.
there?
mm-hmm.
I think on the first watch,
Established
no, the
writers.
first watch, my focus was on how
Really?
Gene potentially has changed. But yeah, the second time I was like, okay, yeah, because Gene, like we talked about this before, that Gene and Sally seem to be the characters that they use specifically for, especially Sally, but this time it's Gene, specifically for this Hollywood
Hmm.
commentary. And yeah, he literally spells it out and says, you are glorifying a killer. And, because yes,
Mm-hmm.
when you make a movie like this, we see it time and time again instead of the person, the villain of the story being vilified, they are the main character for one. So they will have fans, they will have people glorifying them like Ted
Just
Bundy
naturally
or
empathize
whatever.
with the
Like
first
it's
person
just
you
it's
see.
it's what always happens. And
Mm-hmm.
Gene doesn't want
Mm-hmm.
to, it could still be protection, like Gene trying to protect himself, but Gene doesn't want to partake in that. He doesn't want to elevate Barry or give Barry that legendary cult hero or cult whatever status. Yeah, I think that was definitely in there as well. But my other thing in that scene was I still want to know who the president of Warner is because I'm convinced it's going to be one of the guys from the acting class. Specifically, my eye is on the black guy.
No
I think
way.
that would be too left.
Do you want me to go from an acting class to
Ooh,
president of Warner
Nah,
Brothers
okay,
in
maybe not
8 years?
him. Maybe not him. Or
yeah,
maybe
Like,
Sally's
he must have won
agent
it.
or one of the people like that. Yeah,
I mean, Sally's agent is not, or even the head of
yeah.
Banshee, but I don't think we'll see that person.
That's quite interesting because he was like he wants to go straight to the president, and I mean it's a
Oh, did
good
he
shout
say that?
because they must
I
he
just
must be
think it would be
quite
a
familiar
lot
with
He
funnier
said
if
that
it's someone from the
last week,
acting
yeah.
class, but it could easily have been any of the people at Banshee or like that woman that did the instead of.
Oh, Vanessa Bayer. Um,
Listen,
no,
eight
so I
years is a
mean,
long time, man. Time flies.
yeah. So there is no. That was I don't know what I was. Don't know where I was going with that statement just now. There was no follow up to what I was just going to say. No, when okay, there's a good point that you made about the critique of Hollywood and writers and all that. Because also just on what Jerry said, when that scene happened, the first thing that came to my mind was just Dharma. I was just thinking about Dharma, the Netflix show Dharma. I was like, yeah, and I mean, look, we are covering love and death on this podcast, so we are probably part of the problem if it is a problem. But like, yeah, like it was what like we can't keep on making these stories about these people and making them the heroes and like what does she say that he's the main character but he's the villain and you're the hero like but you said he's
Yeah,
the main character like
glorifying you're
people are gonna
glorifying
go
Barry, who's the
yeah
villain.
yeah people are gonna go like as
Hmm.
Barry Berkman for Halloween like so it's yeah I mean if this wasn't the final season of the show I would say that like Gene is gonna gene it up again. Like he's gonna
Can't
become
help
selfish
Yeah.
and do
himself.
something, and like, yeah. But because it's final season, there are 3 episodes left. Maybe this is actually his end game. Maybe it's actually the story will end this way, like with him trying to stop the movie. Yeah.
Okay, sounds. I mean, he obviously has a chat with the DA and kind of question, and I
I'm
think
sorry. Can I just say that that's the funniest part of the episode for me when he's
what
like,
would it take
"Eat two
two
bites
more
of your salad and
two more
come with
bites of
me."
your salad and
I'm
come with
dead.
me, and I was like,
So specific as well. Why
why
two?
two? Why
Such a
why not
stupid
five?
show. Such a
Why not just come at
stupid
me straight
show.
away or finish your salad just like 2 bites and
Yeah.
come back? And I was like, what the hell?
I thought I'm going to see him actually have the 2 bites, but that would have been too much. That would have been too much.
Way too much for us. Way too much for us. I mean, I think what was a bit. I mean, for Gene, the crux of the episode for him was meeting. his son Leo, who we
Hmm.
thought, we kind of left that question open about is he dead or is he not dead when he shot him.
Yeah.
When we spoke about it, I think it might have been 2 episodes before this,
Hmm. Hmm.
and find out, oh,
Yeah,
he's not dead. It wasn't, thankfully, it wasn't like a fatal gunshot. I think Jerry
yeah.
actually mentioned that it was to the
I was right.
right.
Like it was on his right shoulder. I just don't know where the second one went, but like they said, non-fatal. So
The right shoulder. So yeah, thankfully he's not dead. I mean, at first he's quite apprehensive to Gene, but I think he kind of let him in eventually. And
I mean, he's way more forgiving than his son.
8 years, took him 8 years to apologize. That's mental.
Yeah, like Leo's son doesn't even
why
want
is
him
he
there. Like,
here? Yeah,
No,
why is this guy
I
here?
mean, the look on his face was kind of, oh my god, gave him like the worst, like the saddest hug ever, and just like, went about his
Hmm.
day. It's pretty. I mean, it's telling because Leo's son kind of interrupts Barry's first assassination
mm.
attempt, doesn't he?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's like, oh, you kind of like, oh, kind of wait, and you just know something. You just know something's going to go wrong, and it does. I mean, I guess we'll get to the end eventually. So, I mean, what do you think of like that whole dynamic then?
Um, I mean, Leo is Leo might be the best person on this show. Like he's very
Almost too
forgiving.
forgiving.
He's forgiven his dad so many
I mean,
times.
he wants a
Like
relationship with
he
his
has no
dad.
reason to open that door. Yeah, but like if you shoot me and I don't see you for 8 years, I think that's like
Fair.
us done. I think like that's cool.
Could
Like
even
we
send like
we
a
we
postcard or
gave it a good
anything.
run. Yeah, I was like, we don't need to do this again. It's fine. You can
Could have
go
sent
live
an
your
owl.
life.
Yeah.
Um,
Wrong universe, actually.
I did
Um,
find one thing interesting
yeah, I
there
think
that when I was doing the
so.
rewatch was when Barry in at the beginning of season three threatened Jean. It was Jean, Leo, and the
mm,
grand and Jean's grandson in the house. And then this time, seeing
yeah.
Leo there is enough to kind of deter him only for a moment. It does, yeah.
Well,
So it
Leo's
is
son.
kind of enough that you see that Barry maybe is still in his weird way struggling or trying to be a good person, in that he, or at the very least, doesn't
Hmm.
want to
Hmm.
kill in front of the child the same way he.
Yeah, but it goes back to the religion thing. Like, it's
Yeah,
his version of a good person because he's like, oh, I wouldn't kill the child, but you're still gonna kill at least one other person, maybe two. But it's like, oh, I wouldn't kill. Like, I don't think that's the the
takes us
the
back to
line that
Ronnie
God
Lily
draws.
as
Like, oh,
well
you
because he
didn't
was
kill
ready
the
to kill
child.
Ronnie, but not Lily.
I was thinking about Ronnie Lily a lot this episode because of that thing with Sally. But I was just giving strong
Mm.
Ronnie Lily vibes. That
What an
whole
episode! That
sequence.
was the first time watching that. I was like, this is bizarre but fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Very, very
Which is
fun.
why which is why I'm so okay to accept the time jump. 'Cause, like this is a show that has done things like this. Like they can do weird
It's
things. I'm
just
like,
very
fine.
unconventional and very. It's sort of thing like it doesn't. It just throws you in there and is like,
Mm.
all right, sort yourself out and
Such as
try
out
and
is a good way to put it actually.
try and get what we're doing quickly. And I really like Bill Hader doesn't really insult our intelligence and he assumes
Mm.
we're all smart people, which we're really not. But I guess that's good on Bill Hader. Should we talk about Fuchs? Fuchs has neck tattoos.
He has everything
The
tattooed.
Raven.
The
Do you mean
Raven,
the Raven?
sorry, the Raven, and
What's their sign? Is it four fingers up?
it's the four fingers,
I'm
and
dead.
he
With
had
his
his
black painted
nails
nails. Oh
polished
my
as well, and
god.
it's like this guy is just flexing, man. Jerry, what do you think of? I mean, how how was your face when you saw Fuchs for the first time? Like, rate your level of surprise from a scale of one to
Surprise?
ten.
I don't think there was any surprise. I think like I said, this episode kind of grounded you in the reality that this is a time jump that happened. So you're seeing Fuchs. It's like, oh, of course, he would be in prison. He would be in prison for a long time. So him coming out after 8 years makes sense for the crimes. I feel like he probably deserved
Hmm.
more, but he's coming out, and then you see that he's fully adopted the moniker of the Raven, which is another reason why Hank is the greatest because Hank came up with that, and look at what he's created. But yeah, no, Fuchs comes out. It looks like what we were discussing then, that maybe maybe the guys in the prison will acknowledge that he didn't actually sell out Barry, and maybe that blossoms over 8 years, and the Raven actually controls the prison to the point that the guard is obviously part of his cult, and he has people waiting for him. Because normally you think, who the hell would pick
Hmm.
up Barry from prison. I actually thought about that in the scene. Like, obviously, God forbid I go to prison, but like, who would actually pick up different characters when they come out? In this case, there's no one left for Fuchs, but there's so many people actually left for
Hmm.
Fuchs. And even when he comes out, he has enough of a relationship with Hank that there's already a pre-existing meeting he can come into, meaning he has fully adopted the moniker. He has become the Raven, which is just Hank just blabbing out the story to get people off his trail. And it's a thing now.
Bankole, how many times have you walked into a coffee shop, given the one eyebrow raise, and just left with the barrister? How many times has that
Well,
happened to
the
you?
first part of that several times. The second half
I'm
hasn't
dead.
worked for me yet.
Not
I've
yet.
given the eyebrow raise, but it
Give me
hasn't
the
been
eyebrow. I
successful.
can't do the
Same.
eyebrow raise, unfortunately, and I
No,
look
I can't do the
so
eyebrow raise.
ridiculous even
I
trying to do
can't do the
it.
eyebrow raise.
So
We knew
stupid.
someone in school who could do eyebrow raise for both eyes, and he could like do it alternately, so he could go up and
Uh,
down. It was quite.
no.
Anyway, so when that scene starts, I'm thinking, wait, is this Hank? Because obviously it's in
Mm.
soft focus. Is a white guy. I'm like, is this
Mhm.
Hank? Did Hank go to prison in 8 years? I'm like,
Did
there's
he
no
get
way.
hair
I was like, there's
from
no way they made
prison?
Anthony Carrigan like grow that big for like a time jump. And then it goes to Fuchs, and I just burst out laughing. I was like, what is that? And I just love it because like it's that. I mean, we've all watched movies where people get out of jail, and if it's not Ocean's 11, like they do the same thing. They come out of jail, they go get the girl. I mean, even Ocean's 11 tried to do it. They go get the girl, they have sex for the first time because they've been in prison. All this, like, these are it does the same beats, but like it does the same beats in like Fuchs's way. Like, how does he just get a wife in the first day he
Your
left
And he's
prison?
daughter
got a
in
Like,
daughter
what
as
is
well,
going on?
adopted daughter who's
I
going to
don't.
Pepperdine University, which
And the
is
way they're just that woman never says a word entire episode. They're just also like okay with it.
yeah. This is our reality now. I guess, and it's like I have a daughter who I've never spoken to before. I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. Uh, the Raven man. So
Raven.
I mean, he gets out of jail
Mm-hmm.
straight to Hank, and you can see No Hank is literally head of a Fortune 500 company, massive conglomerate company. He's absolutely loaded. And you're like, what the hell happened in 8 years? What the hell happened in 8 years? And you can see when you walk into the building, you see um, this
Mm.
statue of Cristobal, and you can see all the
Does it
Cristobal
remind you of
I'm
the
mug.
dead.
Ronaldo statue?
No. But now that you say it,
That's what I was thinking about.
Which, trying to say like the statue look nothing like Cristobal.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it's just better than the Ronaldo one, obviously. But I was still like, that doesn't really look like
Yeah, that's a
Cristobal.
good shout because like the first time, my first watch, I was like, who is that supposed to
I
Who's
be?
I
that
mean, I
meant to be?
figured it would be, but like going up, before they showed us up close, I was like, is that Cristobal?
Yeah, you're like, you know, he's meant to
But
be
then,
Cristobal.
yeah,
But like,
eventually
is
you
it
see it's
Cristobal?
clearly Cristobal. But before we even segue into what was I going to say? Oh yeah, actually, no, this will work. Like, let's continue with Hank. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, we agreed that Hank's thing is like a front, right, for illegal
Yeah,
activities.
probably.
Like, is a
Yeah, like
money laundering front. Okay, that's fine.
I
He didn't
mean,
actually
he.
go
Why
to.
else would he need? If it's just real estate, why would he need those properties like protected by?
That's true.
Yeah,
Well, they
like
need
you could
those
just
goons for
get a legit
security as
security
well.
agency or
That's true.
something.
But he's hanging out in Hollywood. He's hanging out with the
Isn't that
mayor.
what
He's
drug
legit.
dealers do?
So he's just supposed to be like the. It's like supposed to be like the diet Gus Fring, isn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess it's a version of Gus Fring.
Yeah, I guess with
Well,
the
not a version. Let's know that's rude to Barry. Barry Writer is like he's his own
he's his
person,
own thing, but
but Gus Fring was like that as well. Yes,
he's like Gus Fring with a sense of humor, I guess.
and good dress sense. But I don't know. Fuchs insulted his suit. I thought his suit was nice. I can never wear it because I
This
can't pull
wasn't
it off.
bad.
But
Halloween
I thought
maybe.
Hank was
We're for
pulling it off.
Halloween. I mean, they have this kind of episode at dinner where uh, sort of Fuchs goods Hank into stealing Cristobal's idea, then having Cristobal murdered. I mean, what do they call it? What do they call him? No, is it Noho
Oh
Hourglass or
No
yeah,
something?
hourglass. So yeah, when he killed
the
the
fact
people
that
on the
that's stuff
sand.
of
When they kill
legend
people in the
now
sand,
is wow.
Well, I mean, he did eliminate
Yeah,
two cartels.
just
Like
like
I
that.
think that's a big deal. That's like That
and
deserves to be legend.
and he has like obviously has some rep in the street right now, so he's
Mm-hmm.
balling. But he doesn't take
Of course he
kind to
does.
that, does he?
Well, it's funny because he loves the no hourglass bit. Like he's
Hmm.
happy about that. But it's when they accuse him of killing Crystal that he's like, nah, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't do that. How would you call that a compliment? Obviously we know he did. And apparently everyone else knows that he
It's
did. So
one
it's like,
of those
why are
things
you
So I
where,
mean, so
again, like
what's
he
the issue
probably
there?
doesn't like in his head. Cristobal had an opportunity to be part of this, and he's trying his best because he genuinely loved Cristobal. At least from everything we can see, all the
Hmm.
tributes to Cristobal, and keeping Cristobal's memory alive or whatever. He genuinely loved Cristobal, so the idea that he killed the person he loved is obviously going to trigger him. And what I was taking there as well was this idea of like seeing which characters have truly changed and which ones are still struggling. And you almost see Fuchs for one hasn't exactly changed. Fuchs comes out and his most like he's still like, well, I guess in a sense he's changed back in that he wants to get Barry instantly because Barry obviously snaked him. So he's like, I want Barry. That's my number one priority. And Hank,
Yeah.
in his way, is like, I've created a new world for myself. And Fuchs is there reminding him, like, no, 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 no. You're a bad person and you did this really shitty thing to create this world for yourself, but like, you're still a bad person. And he can't reconcile that, which is fair because in his head, it was maybe the elders who killed Cristobal.
do
Well,
you
Yeah.
I
think
think
Hank doesn't
he's
think he's a bad
accepted
person?
that, but like, Hank is Hank.
I
Yeah.
think it's just the Cristobal bit that he's I think he's fine. Like he's fine knowing he's a
Yeah.
bad person that he killed people. It's just the Cristobal like he doesn't want to believe. No, not believe because he knows, but he doesn't want to
Yeah, that he
publicly
was that
accept, I guess,
evil.
that he
Accept.
But
Yeah.
killed. Yeah, he killed his
if it's
partner
just
that
about
love of
being a
his life
bad
or
person,
whatever.
in
Yeah,
season
And he's
two,
kind
he
of done all
was
this
telling Barry,
too.
like, we're both bad people. Like,
yeah. I think he definitely like he knows what he's
mm.
doing. He's not lying to himself. Like he said this to Cristobal. He was like, look,
Oh, yeah,
we're going to
that's
become the
true.
bosses of LA, and you can't do that by
He
like it
always
takes a
believed,
psychopath to do it. I think it's just like I didn't kill like I did yeah I did all these evil things, but come on,
yeah.
I didn't kill the love of my life, man. I
Cheeky,
think if him saying it, it's like I don't know how to
cheeky.
put it. Like he knows he did it, but I think him saying that he did it would be like would be too much for him mentally. Does that make sense? Like
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
like him actually accepting that he did
But
kill
did he?
Cristobal.
I was going to say some cheeky critique on
I mean,
capitalism,
he
you
was
know.
a
What
part
do you
of
think
it,
by
but at
did
the
he?
end of
Of
the
course
day,
he killed Cristobal.
could you argue that his hands were tied in that situation?
No, because
No,
he begged him to.
yeah, but he's the reason Cristobal was in that position in the
I
first place.
mean,
He uh, he he agreed to the
because
deal
in
with the
his
elders and
idea,
pretend.
the other alternative was the others would kill him and Cristobal as well. So he was off from his perspective. I'm not saying that I agree with Hank, right? But from his perspective, he was doing what he
Hmm.
thought would protect him and Cristobal and fuck everybody else. Because all the other people
Yeah, but it's like saying
he definitely didn't
how do I put
intend
that? I don't
for
know. It's like
Cristobal
saying
to
was
be dead. Even when Cristobal is shot, he knows it's going to happen. He just can't prevent it. But then that other guy comes in and says, "Sorry, man. I wish it didn't go that way." But I'm paraphrasing. But he essentially says, "I'm like everyone hoped that Cristobal would pick differently."
I think he doesn't tell Cristobal about the plan
Of course.
because he knows Cristobal will not accept
We'll
it.
not, we'll not, we'll not go ahead.
And
Yeah,
he
that's
knows and
another
once
argument as
once he
well.
makes a decision knowing that Cristobal will not like it, he's
Okay.
basically
Fair
killing
enough.
Cristobal because he knows that Cristobal would not unless he's hoping that Cristobal would
That's where I'm
love him
coming.
so
Like
much that
it
he stays. And
seemed like that was
that's
that was a
hoping against
delusion that
It's
we
hope.
picked on that
fantasy.
he's similar to
Yeah.
Barry. Like he genuinely thought or hoped that Cristobal would actually just be like, okay, fine, because Cristobal does call him out and is like, did you think like what did you think was going to happen? And it was like, I love you. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
Mm.
he was delusional,
fair
doesn't
enough,
mean he wasn't responsible.
fair enough.
I guess could say that. But like, kind of when that happens, he cut off the agreement, doesn't he, with Fuchs? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, what the hell?
I love the way Stephen Root plays that scene. He's like, what the hell just happened?
What is that? What the hell just happened? Like, so what happens? I mean, this. I mean, I guess they have the 800K, don't they, through the Muller app that they
The Mola
can.
app. Oh my god. Oh, can I just say I love that in 8 years' time podcast will still be a thing. We don't know if it's only religious podcasts, but at least podcasts will still
I'm
be a thing in
crying.
8
He
years'
was
time
jamming
too.
to a lot of religious podcasts, wasn't he? He was just
Yeah.
banging it out, just listening all the way. But yeah, I guess I mean, like now that I sort of said podcast, I guess kind of roll back to Barry in the end.
Hmm.
So do you think that was a honey trap then for Barry?
Okay, can I just before I know you guys have thought, can I just say this? So the door is open, and Barry's kind of like he's thinking about not killing Jean, and he's walking away, and he sees the door open. So to him, he thinks it's a sign. And I'm thinking, bro, all I can think about is the season 3 finale. I'm like, why aren't you remembering this? Like, this was the most harrowing time of your life. Why aren't you remembering the trap that you were last in when an old man was in his house alone? What is going on here? Why aren't you? So, and then obviously, um, Moss comes in and captures, and I was like, yeah, duh. What were you expecting to? Like, why didn't you remember this thing? I don't know if I don't think Gene is that good an actor, so I don't know if Gene was involved. I think he just generally left his door open. I think Moss must have been following one or two of them, but we'll find out, I guess, next week if Gene was. I don't think Gene was involved. I do love the fact that like Moss's chair in his garage is not like a rolly chair because he's older.
Which
He
begs the
can.
question of what happened 8 years earlier.
With Lon?
Because
Well,
was
well,
it
what do you mean
Moss?
8 years?
Was
Oh,
it
they
Moss
probably got.
parked outside their house? Sally and Barry's house.
Yeah, but they got away. I mean, like, let's not like Barry's is an international assassin. Like, I know he's played by Bill
Mm.
Hader, but like he's good at his job.
It's good at his job, I guess.
So
Check the
like,
TV.
I think we could just say he got away. We don't have to like, yeah,
Is that one of
was
those
it
things
difficult?
that you
Probably.
feel
He
like
probably
maybe
found a way.
they
Because like
will
I
show us that scene and then show us the juxtaposition with the current scene in the garage?
You know what? I think they might not. I think like you guys said about Bill Hader and Barry. I
Mm.
think they should just take it, just move on.
just move on. Just
Explain.
Yeah, like
yeah.
I don't think they might feel the need to. Like another show might start next episode with a flashback, and maybe this show would. I don't know if they would,
hmm
but I'm more of the opinion they will just
Do you
continue,
think
just like forget about 8 years ago.
do you think
What
there's
I
a
did like
chance
was that,
that all of
yeah, sorry.
this is psychological torture from Jim? Like he caught them about to escape Barry and so he's like, what do you think that life would look like? And they're really old just in his garage.
Jeremiah,
Yeah,
Jeremiah,
no, fair.
this is real. I don't know what to tell you. Like, stop imagining
No,
that stuff is
just
very
one
real.
moment.
No, we
Like,
just want to
what if?
visualize
But
shit,
like,
Bankole.
yeah, fair enough.
We're having visions. We're
um,
having visions of the show.
no, I do like the fact that if you look in the background of Jim Moss in soft focus, you can kind of see it's almost like it's always in Sunny in Philadelphia, like
Mm.
paint board. Like you can see that he's been working on this for 8 years. Like he's
Planning this
probably been
shit.
tracking them. Yeah,
Because everyone kind of assumes Barry is dead. They haven't seen him
He
in 8 years,
knows.
but
mm-hmm.
Jim knows. Jim knows
At the
better.
very least, he was there when they decided to
The man
escape,
that
so he
needed his
knows that
captors to kill
something
himself.
went down. And yeah,
Yeah,
I know he found them. But yeah, I'm quite excited to see what happens to. Actually, I'm most excited to see who the hell that gimp man was. That's why I'm most excited
I
to
mean,
to
obvious
find out
money
in
is
the
on the
next
guy
couple of
that
episodes.
yeah.
I always like the consequences for the kid, figuring out like these aren't his real parents. Fuchs, what the hell happens going on with Fuchs? What the hell happens to Fuchs? What the hell? I mean, Hank, does he get up to some wild shit? Barry, because I mean, I'm guessing there has to be some resolution between Barry and the rest of the characters.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
mean,
There's
he's,
2 episodes
Two.
left, right?
Oh
is
well,
it two or
we
three?
have up to 7. I believe
This is
there's
6, so
8,
yeah,
but who knows if 8 will
7 and
be a
8.
double episode. Yeah.
It's 7 and 8. Yeah, seven
Seven
and
and
eight.
eight. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's two. Wow, two more episodes. It's like how can you resolve this in 2 episodes? And I'm pretty sure Bill Hader wouldn't do like a series finale 1 hour special or something. And I don't think 1 hour would work for Barry as well. I think we're kind of
Mm.
I
so
think
used
40 minutes max.
40
Mark
minutes.
45.
Yeah. I think it's sort of I mean there's a pace about this show that 30 minutes is sort of like the sweet spot as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Kind of gives you enough. So I guess we shall
How long was the
see
finale
when that
last
happens.
time?
And
Was it also 30
yeah,
minutes? First.
Yeah, I don't think you wrote down an episode more than 35 minutes.
series finales are special. They're very, very special.
They are special.
But I mean, it's not a lot of TV shows that do series finales well that do this. So new
Please,
stuff.
please.
Fingers
Well, I
crossed.
mean, you know, like
Yeah, these ones
lots of
have to
our
land
faves
well.
have done good series
I
finales.
no
I mean,
spoilers.
Breaking Bad. I have a lot of thoughts on
I mean,
Breaking
I
Bad.
feel
But I
like
guess
I
Breaking Bad
know
was
most of the
great.
spoilers, but still no
Wait,
spoilers.
I'm just saying it's either good or not good. I thought The Wire was great, but people might disagree on me on that. I thought Mad Men was great as well. People would disagree. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
Game of Thrones, anybody? And that is everything.
Ooh.
And that is all for this podcast, guys.
I had
Thank
one
you
more
a lot
thought,
for
something I really like. Sorry, no,
tuning
no, no,
in.
it's okay. It's just something I
Oh,
really like.
sorry, sorry to.
I guess
For,
every episode we can always pick out the usual Barry recording the environment and using sound and blah blah. But something I like when some movies do is like just paying attention to the context of sound and how like whatever you're listening to transitions through the scene. It's not just a soundtrack. So like the things like when Barry is listening in the store and it's a podcast on his phone and then he gets into the car and it connects to the Bluetooth in the car, like things like that. I just like picking up and I just find them cute and I like that.
yeah, it's worth mentioning that because I think Bill Hader said he was quite influenced by
Mm,
No Country for Old Men. If you guys have seen the film, so I think there's no music in the film, no score, nothing.
mhm.
It's all sort of all the
mm.
sounds from the film are kind of sounds from the environment and things people are listening to and stuff like that. And I
Well, I
think
mean, we
that
haven't heard the theme song this
I don't
season,
think
but
there's
I
any
think we're gonna hear
point.
it
We've
on
gone
Thursday.
six
So
no,
episodes now without to
and
just keep it on this somber.
yeah.
maybe we might
As in the
get maybe
final
the
shot,
finale.
sure.
Finale shit happens at the finale, you know.
I mean, the thing is, like,
Yeah,
the theme song is not like it's not cheerful, but it's a bit
Mm. It kind
upbeat-ish.
of
Does
wakes
that
you
make
up.
sense? Like, it's
yeah.
I can't do it, but you get what I mean. It's not. Yeah, so I
Alright.
don't know if it even fits
And
into.
it's really, really short as
That's
well,
why I
isn't it? It's
think
just
it could
like
only
Yeah.
work as
Barry and
like
that's it.
the
I can't
Anyway,
very
imagine.
like the show is done. The very if it ends on some kind of cliffhanger or dramatic what the f moment and then it just pivot to that, like fair enough. But I doubt it.
Do you reckon people? Do you reckon more people would be annoyed if it ends on a cliffhanger,
Okay, maybe I
or
shouldn't
do you
have used the
reckon it would
word
be more
exactly.
people that
Maybe I
would
shouldn't have
like
used
to
the word
share?
cliffhanger
well, it
because
depends on what the
I
cliffhanger
don't want
is.
to get into the idea of oh did this happen
Not
did that. I
cliffhanger,
just
but
meant
more
more like
like
something that really goes what the fuck, like something that really just pops out on your screen, like something shocking or something funny. Or blah. That's what I mean.
like I was gonna
We
say like the
again.
Sopranos ending, where it's a bit ambiguous, but I am not going
I
to
mean,
I
say
mean,
anything.
Jerry,
I
I haven't watched The
mean,
Sopranos, but the
well,
fact that you don't know how The Sopranos ends
they
in
spoiled it.
2023 is very remarkable.
Yeah,
Because
Seinfeld.
do you know how I got spoiled about the Sopranos ending? It was
See,
2014, I
the
think, and
thing
it was on
is,
Family
I
Guy. That's
remember.
how
I don't
that's
know what
how
show I was
Sopranos was
watching. I
spoiled for
literally
me.
had to
So,
go blah 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 because they were watching an episode of like the season that I was currently on, and
oh,
mhm.
that
oh
was what
yeah,
they
there
call
we
it.
go.
That was She-Hulk. Anyway, Obia, take us
She-Hulk.
out.
I can't believe we're ending an episode on
Oh
ending this
my god,
episode on
just
She-Hulk.
What's wrong with She-Hulk?
don't be your incel self. Just don't fall into your. I know your incel
I got my
brigade is online.
tendencies.
They're doing their hashtags.
I was spending
They
a lot
call
more time on
themselves
Reddit
the
and
men for
4chan,
Jibbz.
so
Like just
it's
don't
One question
don't do what you have to
before
do.
we actually go
All
off.
right,
What do you
anyway,
guys
keep
think
your
guys.
army
Jim's gonna
calm.
do with Barry? If we want to even drown the ton.
Did you love my daughter? Do
Yeah,
you love
something like
Janice
that.
Moss?
Say it again. Then Barry would probably like shit his bald head or something,
Jesus. Um,
or maybe he forgives Barry.
he
You
didn't spend
get.
8 years tracking him, so you can forgive him.
Like, I feel like we have
That's
all
not
the
the straight
I feel
face
like
forgiveness on the
answer.
I
show
feel like
in
he's the sort of
Leo.
person
Like he
who
has
like,
too much to give, like nobody else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and that was even too surprised. I was even surprising for Banky. It's like no,
It's a bit too much. So
that's enough. That's enough. Forgive him, please. Barry, get back to your shit. But yeah, guys, any last thoughts on the Wizard?
That's it.
no,
Thanks
I'm
for
good.
coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank, thanks for coming. Thanks for interrupting rather than coming.
I'm
Thanks,
a
Jerry, as
disruptor.
well, giving us your insightful thoughts, and thank all of you guys for listening. We will be back next week. Don't forget to obviously listen to our other shows going on at the moment. We've got Succession, which is still going strong. I think Ted
Hmm.
Lasso is still going on. Love and Death just sort of started. That's
Yeah.
still that's still hitting.
Yeah, if you like people, innocent people killing people, or seemingly innocent looking people killing people, then you can
I feel like
check
That's
WandaVision
it
one way
killing
out.
to look at it.
people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you like,
There we go. That would
because
bring
the
more.
whole thing is very good on the show
Yeah.
That would
for without
yeah.
like without
And
talking about anything else.
We haven't
You
not.
guys are doing yellow jackets, yeah.
I've said Yellow Jackets, haven't I?
And Yellow Jackets. Yeah, if you
Yellow
want
Jackets. Yeah.
people killing people,
If you
Yellow
want some
Jackets.
real House of Fly shit, then watch Yellow Jackets. And yeah, guys. Obviously, if you have any views or comments about or feedback about the podcast, be free to let us know. Drop us a DM, drop us a comment, or yeah, just anything, please. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. And that was Barry.
Cheers,
Thanks
guys.
again, guys. Cheers, Bankole.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
guys.
And thank you,
That
Jerry.
sounds like the ends of a team's meeting at work.
My name is Jibbz, and we'll be back next week with Barry episode 7, and we'll be joined by who will be joined by? Do you reckon Jess Chastain will be available next week?
I mean, you can try.
I'll definitely,
Why don't we
definitely
throw
try.
out
But
Bill
yeah,
Hader
that was
one
Barry.
day?
Thanks
Bill
a lot,
Hader
guys, and we'll
himself.
see
Like,
you
come
next
and
time.
defend Barry.
Maybe Bill Hader, maybe. But yeah, bye bye.